Yep.
And there was usually 2 or 3 tugboats that took all these ships right into the dock.
Next question.
Did you have a chaplain?
Yes, we had on the USS Iowa we had a chaplain, but the other ship we never. The USS Iowa was a big ship that had. I don't think the chaplain really knew the Lord. In fact, he was a returned missionary from India, and just before he came aboard ship, I think he lost his wife. He was a nice guy, but I don't think he really knew the Lord. You know,
Was he?
You can tell whether a man is saved,
Yeah.
such as we speak of being saved.
Was he a Catholic or?
No, he was probably Lutheran. They had a Catholic chaplain too. They had a Catholic chaplain and a
On the same ship?
on the USS Iowa, yeah, the big ship, yeah. Now the other ships they never had. The only Christians were those that were.
Where did you land in Africa?
Fidela. You spell it.
Now, if you hadn't have been injured, would you have had to go back and forth with a couple more landing crafts that day, or was that the end of that invasion?
Well, everybody was ashore at the time, yeah.
So you were
See,
done.
I was on shore for overnight.
Okay, but your boat got stranded, so
The small landing craft.
yeah.
This landing craft, you see, that's 28 foot. Well, there were hundreds of boats that got
Yeah, hung up.
stranded on the beach and couldn't get off.
Yeah.
And but we were supposed to go back to the ship again. But in the meantime, our ship picked up and
Took off.
took off. And so we were.
Yeah. Next question.
I came back. I went over on the USS Rutland.
Or Ariel.
No, I went back. I went across on the Ariel, USS Ariel, and then I came back on the USS Rutledge.
I thought that was the one that was torpedoed. Was that the
No. Yeah, that was the one that was torpedoed. Yeah. I was ready to go back on the USS Rutledge, but then that was torpedoed, and I went back to shore. Then I went from there back down to Casablanca.
Okay.
And I don't remember which ship I came back
Yeah.
over on.
What cities did you go to?
What cities?
Yeah.
Ah, well, I was in the service all the time.
In Africa?
No.
I was at
Casablanca.
Fidela, Casablanca. That was about it.
Huh.
But then, you wonder where I was? Traveled after that.
Okay.
Reykjavik, Iceland. How do you spell it? I don't know. Reykjavik, Iceland. It's a big port. I went to Trinidad. That's where all the tourists go, the Trinidad. Bermuda. That's another British colony. Panama Canal. Hawaiian Islands.
So that was probably all the major ones.
Japan. I was in a huge. We could see the what's this big?
Palace.
No. There's a
The
volcano. No,
Oh.
in Japan.
Huh.
It's always. We could see that. It was in Japan.
Huh.
We were a lot of islands, Marshall Islands, Tinian Islands, Philippine Islands.
We're in the Gilberts.
Probably in the Gilberts.
My dad was in Tinian Islands and the Marshall Islands.
Tarawa was where her dad
Where?
was.
He was in Tarawa, Guadalcanal,
Oh.
Tinia, Saipan, a couple of other ones. He was in
Yeah.
all of them. He's the 2nd Division Marine.
No, go give. No, some of these I wasn't in. But you know, well, I shouldn't say we were on shore. Now in the Pacific, I was on the USS Iowa, so we never got to go to shore like you were. Well, we did go. I remember this one time they let the troops go to shore, and then they had liquor,
Yeah.
and everybody, none of them had been drinking so everybody was pie-eyed. Oh, they had beer for them, and everybody got beer, and everybody got drunk on beer.
Yeah.
Almost everybody came.
Huh.
That was sickening.
Huh.
But each guy got 2 or 3 bottles of beer or something like that.
Huh.
And a lot of guys didn't drink it, so they'd sell it.
Next question.
Did you go to Torbrook or Anzio?
No.
How'd you meet Frida?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me turn the heat up on that one. How did I meet Frida? I met Frida at the...
Oh, shocked me.
let's see. I met her at the Lakeview Mission Covenant Church in Chicago. She was in the choir. She intrigued me, so I didn't know how to spell her name. So I would write a letter back to her. I went to Chicago, then she kind of caught my eye. So then I went home, and then I wrote a letter back to her, and that was Buries, B-U-R-I-E-S, instead of Bauer. She got it anyway, but she never wrote back to me. And
This is while you were in the service?
no, this is before.
Before, okay.
And then we had a party. We never really went with each other. Then we had a party, and the young people went their different way. Each one took a girl, and one of the fellows. So I walked Peter home, and this one guy, what's going on here? What's going on here? And so I walked Peter home that night, and I can tell you about my first kiss, too. I went to Frida. We went out to. She lived close to Lincoln Park, so we went out to the lake. Went out to Lincoln Park, and we were sitting there and talking old times and twiddling our thumbs and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I said, "I better kiss her." So and I almost knocked her front teeth out.
What'd she do?
She never said a word. And then she said we should go home or something like that. And then I said, "Would you like a Coke?" I had about 10 or 15 cents in my pocket. Coke was 5 cents for a glass. "Would you like a Coke?" No. She went straight home. And I can still remember her standing saying, "Good night." She walked up. But it really, I really didn't get acquainted with her. Well, I used to go to the church with her. I used to go to groups and that, but we never really went together. But then we began to write to each other. So then, the more we wrote, the more we got interested in each other. And then then I told her, I says, the next time I come in from leave, I hadn't had leave for about a year or two, whatever. I said, the next time we come in and have a leave, I says, we're going to get married. Was that a shocker?
So that was the proposal?
No. Well, I'll tell you what happened. This is the interesting part of it. When I was in the service, I used to write to different girls. When I was hurt in the hospital, I was in the hospital, people read my article. There was some kids in Lower Michigan, school kids. They read my article, so they thought, well, why don't we all of us kids write a letter to him?
Huh.
So they wrote letters to me, and then I got letters from different ones. And then, when I was in the hospital, I was in Asheville, Carolina. I met a girl named Nell Boswell. She wasn't a bad-looking girl either. and we became chummy. And then I met another girl. What in the world was her name? Oh, Gloria. She was something else, too. She used to smoke like a trooper. and I remember going and visiting a friend of mine. He was in the Merchant Marines. He was in New York, and I got off in Bayonne, New Jersey, but it was just take the subway, and so I got to meet Gloria, and so I thought, well, I want to go see my friend Irvin Erickson. He's in the Merchant Marines. I know where he is. In those days, you could travel any place on the rail, you know. Just a matter of having a few, and it wasn't that expensive. So I went over and seen Irvin Erickson with Gloria. Now I told Gloria, I says, if there's one thing I don't want you to do is don't smoke, because this guy thinks I'm pretty holy, and I wouldn't go with anybody that smokes. Lo and behold, no sooner did we get over there, she had to light up a cigarette.
Oh no.
And so my friend got a different opinion of me. I lost my holiness. Oh, and it was a shocker.
So when you came back from leave, did you get married?
So then when they came home, I told Peter, I said, the next time I come home, I said, we're going to get married. And her mother was shocked because, before that, I was writing to Peter, and we were going quite steady. And then I told her, I said, I'm writing to a few other girls. So she wrote me back. She says, I don't want you to write to any other girls, just me. I says, I don't want to be cooped up like that. I want a little freedom. Because I'm going to the different ports, and I've enjoyed these girls. One was Nell Boswell. I met her in Asheville, Carolina. And I told her, I says, next time I'm going home, I'm coming down to pick you up and taking me home with me. She was a nice girl. I never did. Betty Williams. She was a nice girl. She had big legs, though. I didn't like that. She was a good-looking girl, though. Betty Williams, her parents thought, I was catching me out. I thought it was it. So when I had my leave, I never did go see Betty, and so I told Peter I was writing, and she says, that's it. So we didn't communicate. I didn't write a letter to her for a whole year. For a whole year, I never wrote to her. So then I was put on this ship, and we were out to sea all the time. We didn't go to these ports like the other one. And I said, oh boy, I said, this is something. So I wrote her a letter a year after. We hadn't communicated for a whole year, almost to the day. I wrote her a letter, and I said, the next time I come in, I want to get married. Well, her mother got the letter, and her mother was mad at me, and her mother wouldn't give it to her, give her the letter. She got the mail. until several days later she finally gave it to me. And then Frida told her mother, "Can you imagine that? He wants to marry me." The next time he came in. So next time I came in, but her mother was mad at me. Her father was mad at me. He's a stinker. He's going with all these other girls. And so next time I came in the meantime, Frida went with my sister Dorothy May. Did you know Dorothy May? Frida went with my sister up to Ardwood, Michigan to meet my folks, and she thought my father was a weirdo, you know. And she was deathly scared. She hated the woods.
Huh.
She said the big tree just sent chills on her back. She just couldn't stand these big trees.
Huh.
You know, they'd go out to Lake Superior.
Yep.
This big, she was deathly afraid. She thought there was a bear in back of every one of those. And she couldn't stand the trees and stuff like that. She couldn't wait to get back to Chicago. But my brother Everett, he took a liking to Frida. He always liked Frida. And my father took a liking to. He liked Frida for one reason, because Frida always was cleaning and doing something. The rest of the sisters, they'd come and sit by the piano and play and sing. And but so then when we got married.
What year did you get married?
January 27, 1945, January 27. So we had 1 week vacation, 1 week before I had to go back to duty. And our ship was in California, San Francisco. It was in dry dock, being repaired, the USS Iowa. And they raise them up, they knock off all the barnacles and clean the bottom of the ship.
Yeah.
So they traveled faster through the water, and then they had a lot of. We were there for quite a while, and so we went up north, and we had this one big bedroom, and it was like an ice box. We'd been married. We were in Chicago. We spent about 2 days in Chicago. Then we went up north. This was our honeymoon. And I never forget. My father had his closet in the big bedroom, you know. It was his house. And little did he realize, he'd walk right in, Frida be getting dressed, here's my father coming in. Oh! You talk about a nightmare. Oh! And I had a horse in the cutter. Did you see that? Ever see a picture of my horse and cutter?
I think so.
Yeah, and so that was my big deal. I had this horse, so we used to take and go cutter riding with the horse and the cutter. It was cold and when it snowed and stuff like that. So my brother Everett, he just couldn't get over. I came up there for my honeymoon, and it was in the house. And Carol Ann, my little sister, Carol Ann, you know Carol Ann. Yep. She was as nosy as could be, you know. We couldn't go any place, do anything without her being right there.
Yeah.
Oh, what's Frida? She says, of all places to take a honeymoon, go up to Ardwood, Bessemer, Michigan, to live with your mother-in-law.
Well, next question.
Were you ever in any German tanks?
German tanks? No. Nope.
Were you at Kasserine Pass?
Nope.
Did you go through the Straits of Gibraltar?
No, we didn't.